Okay, I think we are recording. So, hello everybody. My name is Jessica Tarrant, and I am the face behind Stampin' Hands. Today, I just want to come and bring you a fun little tip with one of my favorite. Well, it's not really a tip. I'm going to do like a whole video thing. But I'm going to be using my blending brushes. I absolutely love these things. I use them a lot in all kinds of different ways on my cards. But today we're going to use them to kind of create a whole scene using our ink and the blending brushes, and then we'll stamp a little bit on top of it. But the majority of what we're going to do is the blending brushes and also our, if I can get these without making much noise, our daubers. And I will show you, I have two things of daubers. I have a lot of daubers. But this one here has like when you open it, it has all the colors in the top, so I can keep them straight of which color I'm using for which one. So anyways, we're going to get started though. I'm going to turn the camera down, and I'll show you something else that I was wanting to, sorry, I'm using a brand new software, and so I'm trying to still figure it out. There we go. So that way you can see my face and what I'm working on at the same time. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is move these brushes and things out of the way. And I'm going to bring in my templates. So I'm going to show you some things I've made. I have a folder here full of lots of different mountain ranges and different kinds of mountains. There's some that are like really tall mountains, some that are shorter ones. So it's got, the mountains and the absence of mountains. You can flip them around and use them all kinds of different ways. And so it's nice for building scenes. I have a lot of different styles, some that are like really deep and pointy, some that are just kind of like the whole range. I have some that are like a hill, that don't have a whole lot to it. So every time I've come across a different scene I've wanted to make, sometimes I want different styles of mountains. And so I've cut a lot of these in different shapes. Some of them take up, a card can only use like one mountain in there. And so sometimes I'll want one, or sometimes I'll want a whole range where I would use like these smaller ones in the front where I can use, more of it. Anyways, you will see how we do that in just a second. But this is what I do. I cut those ahead of time to where I have stuff to use the mountains how I would like to use them. So I think we're just going to go ahead and get started. I am going to try and make a little scenery card for a new friend of mine that I have met, and her birthday was literally like the day before mine, and I found out the day of. I was telling her, oh, tomorrow's my birthday, we went and did this today, whatever, and she was like, that's so funny, today is my birthday. And so anyway, so I wanted to make a birthday card for her, and I'm going to use this I didn't forget your birthday, I'm just stretching out the celebration. I think that's cute, and that's in our Something Fancy stamp set. So I'm going to be using that for her birthday. But other than that, I'm going to pull out 3 of my favorite stamp sets that I like just for creating scenes and stuff. This has a lot of nature and wild stuff in it to where I can use that to make something. So we will see. I don't even know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to start with a sunset. That's how I always started my paintings when I used to paint. I'd just start with the sky, and whatever comes, comes. So for the sky, I know I want to start with some crushed curry, some pumpkin pie, and I'm thinking I'm going to bring in some berry burst. I was kind of back and forth between the melon mambo and the berry burst, but I want a little bit more of the purple in the sky. And then we'll bring in some of the orchid oasis for the mountains. I just think this is going to be a really beautiful, pretty scene, and then we'll bring some mossy meadow for some of the grass and things up close. So we're going to start out with our crushed curry. I'm going to stack the rest of these up over here. And then I brought over also like some early espresso. I think we'll see what I'm going to put in there. I thought about possibly adding like a deer or something in there. All right, so we're going to start out with a piece of paper, and this is 5 1/4 by 4. And we'll open our crushed curry, and I'm going to use my yellow brush. Actually, let's see. Oh, you know what? It's a wonder I can't find my yellow one because it got a little bit destroyed. So I think I will use one of my new ones. Maybe yeah. Well, I have 2 orange, so maybe I'll make the lighter orange a yellow one. Because yeah, my son, he actually took these 2 and bashed them together like this, which isn't bad, but it pushed all the blue off of this one into the yellow one, so now I gotta go wash them. So anyway, for today, we will use these ones. All right, so I just tap, 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 and then I always start off the page because as you can see, it is very, very strong. Goodness. Okay, so, and I just want to start this kind of right in the middle here. And I really want to have the sun like popping up over some mountains. So I'm going to see what mountains I want to use really quick. And I think I'm just looking through these, trying to see what I feel like using. I think I'll do, that's the nice thing about this too, is you can kind of imagine what you're going to put where with these. I feel like I want to do like one of these big ones in the background and maybe some smaller ones up front. So I think we'll start with that. I'm feeling drawn towards this one a little bit. So what we're going to do is hold that there, and I'm just going to come right down here on the mountains and really make it pop right behind them. And then we'll fade off over here, but you can obviously tell right here is where the sun is going to be popping behind the mountain. All right. And then we're going to close our crushed curry and go into the pumpkin pie. And so you can see how that kind of made that mountain design there. I'm still going to leave this over here because just in case some of this goes down into there, I don't want it to cover it. So we're going to bring in our pumpkin pie and bring some orange across here. And I just do a lot of small little circles. And I want to bring this orange down into the yellow. Definitely blend them together really well. And we'll go back with our daubers and do a little bit of stuff in the sky. All right. And now we'll go into our berry burst. Okay. This is one of my favorite things to do, just create a scene, whatever you want it to be. So it's better to just keep going back into the ink rather than like stick a big blob in one spot, because then you get such a soft, pretty sky and it looks a lot more natural than if you just brush a bunch on there in one harsh spot. So it looks like on my screen, it's not showing as well as in real life. But that line, it shows kind of like a line across there, which in real life, it doesn't look like that really. It's just kind of a different color, but they blend together really well. We'll make it a little bit darker through here. It's going to be a beautiful sky. Beautiful sunset. All right, so what I like to do once I've covered this whole thing, I like to come back in and create a few clouds. And usually with the clouds, I'll take the dauber and let me get my daubers here. I have too much stuff in the way. Okay, so we are going to use the melon mambo. And first, I just kind of get it. I want to be able to use the edge and kind of draw with it and make not lines, but like thicker clouds. And you kind of got to just practice a little bit on your paper first, you know, and see like what kind of clouds you might want to make before you go in and start actually doing it. But I kind of have an idea of what I want to do and just start kind of executing. And so when I do this, I mix the colors kind of together. So here's where I'm going to bring some of this melon mambo down into the pumpkin pie and the crushed curry and start making some of these clouds up in here that just kind of dance through the sky. And you just don't want them to be, you know, like straight across lines. You want them to kind of dance down through the sky. So I'll do this with the melon mambo a little bit. And then, all right, and then we're going to go over to the, oops, I just stuck my finger in the ink. Let me grab, I forgot to grab a, okay, sorry, I just ran off. I went to go grab one of these because I can wash off my fingers that way when I get ink on them. The same as we wash off our stamps. I love these things. Okay, so here's our sky. It's starting to look really pretty. We are going to open up the pumpkin pie and use that a little bit more. I've got to find my pumpkin pie dauber. Here we are. Okay, so we're going to use this one, and we're kind of going to go over a few of these mountains that we already made. Or not mountains, clouds. I can't talk today. I'm all over the place. Okay, and then we'll enhance a little bit more some of these colors. Okay. Maybe down here a little bit behind the mountain. Okay. All right, I think that is good for the sky. We're probably going to leave it there. What I might do actually though, because I do want this to kind of, I want these clouds to go behind that mountain a little bit, so I'm going to bring the stencil back in and line it up really quick. Come on. Okay, and then I want to bring this this cloud here behind this mountain. And then see, when you lift it off, there you go, that cloud went back behind that mountain. And that was the effect I was going for. Okay, so I'm going to kind of clean up this bit of mess really quick and put away our sky colors. And the next thing we are going to do is bring out our mountain color, which is going to be the Orchid Oasis. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find the other half of this mountain that I had made. So we know it's going to be this blue color. So I just need to come through here and find, that's not it, obviously. This could be, it is, yes. So here's the other part that fits it, and that's the piece we're going to try and use. So now instead of using this piece where we did the sky, we're going to use this other piece on the top and cover the sky while we do our mountain, if that makes sense. So when we do the mountain here, instead of having the color this way going and fading to lighter, we want it to be darker and fade to lighter this way. And so I'm going to line this right up with what I had here before, and I need to find my Orchid Oasis brush really quick so I'm ready once I hold this. Okay, so I'm going to line it up with where we had the edge of this. All right, and I'm going to hold it there, and I'm going to use our Orchid Oasis now, and we're going to go really dark against the top of this mountain. We want to really give it some pretty color. And you know what I might do is bring in the sponge daubers so we can get a really dark line. Because we want it to fade to really light at the bottom of the mountain so the next mountain in front of it will show up. But we want the top to be really dark and stand out a lot. So I usually just kind of push that color up towards the top of the mountain. And you can see how the bottom's nice and faded out. I'm going to go ahead and grab my sponge dauber really quick for the Orchid Oasis. Maybe, if I can get my thing open. There we go. Okay, so I think I actually don't have one yet for the Orchid Oasis, so we will use this one. All right, and as you can see, look how beautiful that's looking already, but we want to make that mountain a little darker. So, some pieces on there, something. Okay, so we're going to come back in here again and line this up. All right, and then I'm going to use my sponge dauber, and that's going to get us a lot more coverage. See how much more coverage you can get with that one? So we're going to come up here and still do little circles, but I want to make the edge of this mountain just really, really bold and a nice dark color. How's everybody doing today? It's so weird. Like my son has 4-day school weeks. And so even though today's Friday, it feels like Saturday. It's kind of weird, but Daddy went to work today, so we still go in. And he has friends here where I work and stuff, so he's off playing with the friends. And the library's next door and stuff, so there's all kinds of fun stuff for him to do while I'm playing around having fun too. So, as you can see, this is getting quite dark, almost the same color as our stencil here that we made, and I like that. All right, so we want this to just fade down, and I'm probably going to, I'm going to go over this a little bit to give it just a little bit more fading to where there's no lines. We just want it to fade out into nothing pretty much. All right, look at how gorgeous. That mountain just really stands out now. Okay, so we are going to pick the next mountain that we're going to put in front of that. And so now we don't have to worry about them matching up because we've got our sky done and we got the mountain done. So the next one, we're just going to put at the top and have the mountains come down from it. So we're going to want one. I'm thinking one of these. So what I'm saying is, like, instead of it being the top that we're going to use the bottom part of it. Again, like down here. And I want these ones to not be like as big of a mountain. I think I'm going to use these ones. Let's see. Yeah, I think I might use these ones. Okay, so I think what we're going to do, though, instead of having the Orchid Oasis, I'm going to run right over and grab the Starry Sky and make our mountains just a little bit more blue. Yes, I think that's the target. Sometimes it's hard to decide. Sometimes it gets really hard to decide, and I'm like, I don't know which ones to do because I brought my pretty peacock too. That would be really pretty. I think we'll stick with what I was going to do though. Well, it's hard to decide. It really is. Yeah, we'll stick with the starry sky. Because here in Colorado, the mountains, they're just so blue. They're just gorgeous. Okay, so I know I'm turning this sideways because I have to hold it with my right hand, but I'm going to look at it front ways first. Or with my left hand is what I hold it with. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what kind of scene I want back behind here. Because I definitely want that mountain in the background to show. Maybe we'll do something like that. You really can't go wrong. I don't know why I worry so much about where exactly I want to place it, because honestly, you really can't go wrong with these. All right, so we're going to do the starry sky now, and this is just a little bit darker of a blue, so it will help with bringing it a little bit closer. And this one, we're going to kind of fade up here and give ourselves some texture that we will stamp on top of. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did before, and I'm going to go back in here with the, I think I have one actually already for this one. With the starry sky, we're going to go back in with the dauber now and really fill in the top of this with the colors that we want. And this will help bring another mountain right in front of it. We're creating another layer here. And it's just fun to me. Do you guys like making scenic? Whew, I made that move. But see, you can already see how the mountains are forming. I'm going to put that right back where I had it because I still want to keep making it a little bit darker. And sometimes, like if you have trouble holding it still or getting it lined back up, you can like put tape on the back and like get it lined up like this, and then on the back side put a little piece of tape so it will stay where you're wanting it. I just kind of hold it, and as long as both pieces are lined up, because I go a little bit crazy with my sponge dauber. I start pushing hard and going in big circles, and so sometimes it creates a little bit more there. But all right, so this is just going to fade to like some fog there in the background. We just want to have nice, strong mountains here in the front. And the more filled in and crisp of an edge you can give them, the more predominant they look. Okay, so we're going to kind of leave it at that. I'm going to brush over here a little bit and soften this bottom to where it looks more like mist or fog down in there. All right. Now we have done all the brushing part that we're going to do, and we're going to do some stamping right up here in the front. Aren't those mountains just gorgeous? And by leaving that little bit of light space back behind, it just looks like there's some fog and some mist back there, and we'll have the same here in the front once we create some of the stuff. So I'm going to take just a second to kind of clean up my sponge daubers and my brushes, and then we will pull out our stamps. So when we look at this scene, which stamps would you pick to put on there? All right, I'm going to pull out my early espresso and my mossy meadow. And do you know what else I forgot to do is grab my blocks. So let me grab those really quick. All right. Of course, they were like across the room. All right, so I know for sure, I want to do this one here in the front. And I'm thinking about putting the deer on top of there. I just can't decide. But I think I want to use maybe this one here to create a little bit of texture in the background first. So we're going to start with that. Oops. All right. So I really just have this scrap piece of paper, so that way I can remove it and you can see the actual picture. So we'll just flip the scrap paper over for now. So right now I'm using this like hill looking thing out of the Oceanfront stamp set. And I'm going to use that with some Mossy Meadow. And let's see how this looks. I'm kind of thinking, I'm wondering if it's going to be too dark. So I'm going to stamp off at the beginning and just kind of see how that looks. And I'm just kind of stamping some texture and some shapes in here. It's nothing, I'm not lining anything up or, you know, trying to do anything specific. I'm just making some texture back there behind, just so it's not plain. It kind of gives us another little layer of hill back there, but it has some texture so it's not so smooth like the mountains are. All right, so the next thing we'll do is we will pull out, I think I'm going to go ahead and do the long piece of land out of Grassy Grove. We're going to put that across the front here. And we are going to go ahead and do that in the Mossy Meadow as well. Since this is such a big stamp, I like to just turn it over and ink it backwards to make sure the whole thing gets covered. All right, and I know I want to, all right, I think I'm going to use the front of this up here. Well, I want that bush in there at the same time. I think we'll use it this way. And I'm going to kind of come right up under, a little bit lower than where I put the stamp before, to where we can kind of overlap. We want to overlap our layers to where they just blend really nicely together. All right. But you can still see behind there, there's a little bit of space still. So I'm going to go back in with this texture stamp and just stamp off and then kind of come back behind here, give it a little bit of color. Whoops. And see, that helps with that texture behind there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to use our early espresso, and we're going to use a blending brush. I'm going to use, that one has black. Let me see. I'm going to use one of these small blending brushes, our miniature ones, and a little bit of early espresso. And we're just going to color in. Ooh, that's dark. That's a lot. Okay, we're going to color in the bottom part of this to where it looks more like dirt and rocks and stuff. So the mossy meadow that we put on there can look more like the grass. And then I think I just re-inked this ink pad recently. It seems so dark and I'm barely touching it, but I think I re-inked it. But we're just trying to kind of fill in the rest of this part on the bottom that was white. We're just filling it in with this brown. But I don't want it to be like too dark or else it'll blend the colors together and you won't be able to really even tell that it's brown because that dark green is so dark too. So, ooh, that is so pretty. It looks like the sun is setting. I'll show you guys a little bit closer here in just a second. All right. So pretty. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? The colors. Okay, so the next thing we're going to add, I'm just going to bring these over and kind of look at what I want to have on here. I feel like I want to put the deer, I want him to be out here where you can actually see him, so I'm thinking here rather than up here, because I feel like his face would get lost in the mountain up here. So I'm thinking maybe over here is where I'd like to put him, or her, I should say. And then we'll add some trees, maybe up in here. Maybe we'll add some trees over here too. So we'll start with the deer, and we're going to do the deer in early espresso. Okay. I should have scooted that over a little bit because I wanted to put a tree on that side, but we'll fit it in. We'll make it work. Okay, there's our deer. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to take this. Let me clean this really, really fast. Then we can take it off, and we will put our trees on this one. All right, and with the trees, we're going to go back to the mossy meadow. Okay, and I just want these to be straight, so I want to make sure my page is straight. And we're going to put these kind of forward and down right there. Very pretty. Okay, we're going to do some more. We're going to kind of overlap them, but we're going to go up a little bit. Just like that. All right, and then over here, we're going to add one of them on the edge. Let's see, I'm trying to not go over my deer there. I don't want to cover his face. Hopefully we didn't get too close to his face. With these rubber stamps, it's always just a guess. You never know. I think we did okay. I mean, a little branch sort of got in his face, but it's not too bad. You can still see. Okay, so one thing else I want to do is I want to put some trees back behind this little ridge. Excuse me. But I don't want them to be super tall, so I'm not just going to use, the base of it. So I'm actually going to use some scrap paper here, and I want to kind of rip. I'm just going to rip so it looks kind of natural. Something that will sort of sit right there. See how that works? And then I'm just going to stamp over the top of that. And I want them to just kind of sit right back here behind. So we're going to go far down like that. And then we won't have these lines right here in the front. It will definitely look like it goes behind. See that? Ooh, I really like it. Now I don't have these lines in the front, that would just not look as great. Okay, so let's see. I feel like I definitely want to add something else up here in the sky. I will have my words up there. Let's see where we're going to put those really quick. I think we'll kind of put them right in the middle. I'm trying to think of what do I have that has like a branch kind of looking thing, and I can't find. I might pull out one of my old stamp sets, you guys. Even though I know it's something that you can't order at this time, maybe you can find one of your stamp sets that has, well, you know what we can do? I'm trying to decide. How shall I do this? Maybe. I think I want to do that. So, you guys, what I'm going to do is I'll probably do this in the early espresso, maybe. because that's what the deer is in, and it shows up pretty well. So I'm going to use this. Let's see. This one's the early espresso. Okay. I'm almost sticking my hands in the ink. So I'm trying to decide also, like, if I should just add some birds and not think about... I usually love to add, like, branches coming out of the top here. And that's what I want to do naturally. But then sometimes it's nice just to add some birds and let the sky be the sky, too. I can't decide. I think I'm going to stick to my original plan because that's just what I want to do in my mind. I hope I'm not leaning in front of the camera here, but I'm just going to try and get that straight, hopefully. I hope my hair wasn't in front of the camera. I'm going to hold that for just a second so it'll transfer. And then I think it's all right. All right, we're going to let that dry for a second. I'm going to jump up and grab my the Garden Birdhouses stamp set. I love this stamp set because it has this awesome branch right here in it, and I love using that. It's like an up-close branch. Whoops. So sometimes these get to where they feel that they're not sticky anymore, you know, they won't stick to the plastic. And so all you have to do is just kind of wash the back side and the front side. A lot of times we only wash the front side of our stamps, and the back side ends up getting not sticky anymore, getting stuff all over it. And so once you wash the back side, then it'll stick in there again. Okay. So I love bringing in this branch and just, oh, it just creates so much more. I think I'm going to use my large block again. So let's clean this one off really quick. Usually I try to clean things as I'm going, but I know you guys don't want to watch that the whole time, so I've kind of just been setting it off to the side. Okay, so this one we're going to do in the mossy meadow. And let's see here. I think we'll start kind of like that. I just kind of build a tree branch around the top up here, wherever I want it to be. And I know I want that much of it to stick out. And on the top over here, we'll do some sticking out like that. Beautiful. And then I want to do just a little bit more right down below here. Perfect. All right. I love building scenes like this, you guys. One of my favorites. So look at there. So it says, I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. And you can see all the beautiful colors. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay. So I still feel like this is a little bit light down here, so I'm just going to go back in with my brush. Now that I brought all this extra color on the top, it looks a little bit light. So mainly I want to come into these corners here and darken them up. I just don't want to overdo it and ruin my beautiful... I keep wanting to say painting, but it's not a painting. It's I guess an ink painting, whatever you'd want to call it. What would you guys call this? I'd love to know, because so many people ask me what I call these, and I don't even know what to call them. Just an ink creation, an inky creation. But it's fun how you can kind of sort of paint with ink the same way that you would use paint in a way, you know, but it's definitely more like watercolor than like acrylic or something like that. All right, so what do you guys think? Isn't that gorgeous? I wish the the grain on it was a little bit better. I wonder, let me see. I know you guys are going to go black for a second, but let me refresh this and see if it shows a little bit better the colors of it. Ooh, yeah, that made it pop a little bit better, made it a little bit more clear. So yeah, there you guys can see a little bit better of what it looks like. Isn't that cute? I love it. It's like a crisp morning where you go out and see the deer catch your eye all of a sudden. You're like, oh no, somebody's here. I live out in the country, and so that happens every morning when I get ready to go take the kids to school and stuff. We head out, and there's deer out there eating. I love this. This is such a pretty color. Okay, so I'm going to clean up a little bit here, and we are going to mount this on... I am thinking I just want to do a piece of black cardstock. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this here off to the side, and I'm going to put the black cardstock in. And what we do, I put it at 4 1/4 and score it first. And then I turn it sideways and put it at 5 1/2 and then cut it. And what that did was made 2 cards, 2 card bases. And then I'll take my bone folder and fold that in half. Line up the corners if I can get them to move for me. There we go. All right, and I like to crease down that edge, make it nice and crisp. And I'll put this other one aside for later. All right, then we'll bring our piece back in. Doesn't that just look so pretty? Oh my goodness, I just love it. Okay, so I'm going to bring out my silicone craft sheet and my Stampin' Seal. And we're just going to go around all the corners of this. I think my friend Brenda will really like this card. I made it just for her. And she lives down in New Mexico. I live up in Colorado, but I think that every time she looks at this card, it will help her think of her Colorado friend. And I hope she had a wonderful birthday. This paper doesn't want to line up for me today. There we go. There we go. All right, I'm going to turn this over just to rub it down, just in case there's any wet ink. We don't want to end up smearing it. All right, so there is our card. Isn't that gorgeous, you guys? I just love it. I think it turned out wonderful. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So I'm going to grab another piece of white paper. This is what we're going to put on the inside. And so I want to decorate this piece a little bit too with some of the colors that we had. So I'm just going to grab my brushes and that piece of scrap paper that we had so we don't make our surface all dirty. But so for this paper on the inside, I definitely want to go along the top with that melon mambo. And I'm not trying to make it near as bright as the outside. I just want this to be kind of a shadow of a color on the inside, just so it's not stark white, you know. And then we'll go back with the pumpkin pie. And we're just doing the sides on this. We're not going all the way across. Like the melon mambo, I did go all the way across with it, just to seal off, because we kind of just want to do the edges to where it looks nice and pretty and rounds off together. So I'm kind of right now just mixing whatever's left on the brush. I'm not dipping them in anymore in any ink. And so then now we're going to go in with that crushed curry, and we're going to go down a little bit lower on the page. And so I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. I know it doesn't show up very well. Okay, so then across the bottom, I'm going to use the brown. Just to make it look like it has a little bit of something down there. And I know this is probably so light, you guys probably can't see it very well, but I'll show you it in just a second. Okay, so the next thing, I want to grab my green, and I don't know if there's any left on here because we weren't using it. So I might have to dip it back in my ink pad. We're going to use the Mossy Meadow, but I don't want much of it, so I definitely want to use most of it off over here. And then we're just going to use a tiny bit. So now all the edges of this piece of paper have been covered. And so we have the melon mambo, the pumpkin pie, crushed curry, mossy meadow, and the early espresso. And these all come out as like a pastel kind of color. So I'm sure you guys can see it's like super duper light. And so it's probably really hard to see at the moment. But we are going to add a couple more things. On the inside here, I want to, let's see, I'm going to clean this branch again. Yeah, I'm going to clean the branch again. I start thinking about, oh, maybe I should add this in there. Maybe I shouldn't. No, just stick to what we have. Okay, so I'm going to bring in this ground again, and we're going to use it with some mossy meadow. And I am just doing the edge of it here, because I just want the edge of it here on my paper. Right there. And that's the only part of that I'm going to use. Then I'm going to come in here with the trees. And I'm going to add the trees on here. All right, and then I'm going to come in here with a new stamp. We're going to go back into the oceanfront and grab these rocks right here. And I think those would look really nice down here, just off to the side, like a couple of boulders. So we're going to go into the early espresso. And we're going to overlap the edge of that there. And just kind of put a couple of boulders down here. Okay. Then we're going to go back in with our little brush again and kind of do the land in here again. Make it brown. And I just kind of brush over those boulders too to kind of blend everything together. This is such a small little bit in here. It's hard to keep it within the land and not get outside of the lines there. Just don't push your brush too hard where the bristles go spraying every which way, you know. Okay. All right. I think that looks very pretty. What do you guys think? It has a nice place where you can write and sign it and everything. Okay. So we are going to clean these up so we don't stick something else in them. That's my luck. Make something all nice and then drop it right in the ink. Okay, so we'll get these out of here where we can be back to our nice clean surface. Okay, so there you guys can see the inside. Isn't that pretty? We just did like a pastel kind of edges and then just stamped that little bit down in the corner to give us a little bit more. And then that's going to go right inside our card here. Just like that. Isn't that pretty? I feel like I want to bring in some of those mountains in here. But that's like hard to add in after I've already stamped this. And I still want space to write. I still want to add them though. I'm having a moment. Let's see, I think maybe I'll just do one of these. I kind of want to do the big one though. Let's see where it went. Where did it go? I think it was one of these. Okay, I'm going to very, very, very lightly add this little mountain right here where it ends right into this boulder. So we are going to use our brush again. And I want to bring in my scrap paper. All right. I think this is so pretty. Maybe I'll end it into this bottom boulder. I just really want this blue color in here added in. I want that to stay right there. Okay. I think actually what I'm going to do is grab that sponge dauber that I was using earlier. I love tying the inside of my card to the outside of the card and making them match together. So I'm just really rubbing along the line of this. I don't really care about the bottom part. I want that to kind of fade out anyways and not be super strong, but I just want this, the edge of this mountain to really stand out and not be as dark as the front, because like I said, I kind of brought all the colors in like a pastel sense on the inside. So I want this to be lighter, but I definitely want it to be blue because that's the color I felt like I was missing when I would open it up. All right. Let's see how that looks. Ooh, nice. I think I still want it a little bit darker. So I'm going to go ahead and dip into my ink. Now I got to figure out which one of these I was using. Where is it? Let's see. I think it was this one over here, actually. Yes. Okay. We're just going to come up in here, add some more of that bright color. That's what we want. And I'm kind of overlapping the edge of this even more than I'm really coloring on the paper itself, just because I want that edge to be really dark. I don't want like the mountain to be the main thing in here. So hopefully it will disappear a little bit behind the boulder. You never know when you add more stuff if it's like making it better or worse sometimes. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of turning the edge of that boulder a different color too because I'm getting some blue on there. All right. So I've changed my mind, obviously, and not made it too faded. I'm darkening it a lot. All right. Let's see what this looks like. I think it doesn't look bad, though. We might still... I'm going to go in right behind it there like that and do a lighter layer of a mountain. Just a little lighter. Okay, there we go. We're going to leave it at that. We'll keep playing. We'll probably mess it up worse. Okay. I like that, though. I'm going to leave it at that. So we're going to bring our card back in here. All right. And I think that helps a little, you know, to kind of bring those mountains in to the inside. I just love the mountains. I still like the front, obviously, a lot better than the inside, but I think it looks good. I still think, you know, I'm not liking how strong this is, so what I'm going to do probably is just add another boulder in the front here. And what I might do is add the bigger one. We'll see what it looks like. I think that will solve our problem. Yes. See, I just keep stamping till you feel good about it. I have to tell myself to stop sometimes because I'm going to make it worse, like I did a minute ago. But then sometimes you think of something that's like, oh, that actually might make it perfect. So we're going to try it out. The worst you can do is, you know, grab a new piece of paper and start over. But I think this will help it look a lot better. Yes, and it will bring everything closer. I'm trying to find my little brown brush now because we're gonna brush that in just a little and fill it in. See, and then I forgot to put my paper down. So now I've got ink on this one, but that's all right. It's my new scrap paper. All right, and the bottom of these boulders, I just like kind of filling them in a little bit so they're a little bit darker, and you can definitely tell they're up front. Okay, I think that looks great. That's better. That looks more like you're looking off of a cliff and that there's mountains back there in the background. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, now I have a big mess to clean up, of course, but we're gonna finish putting this card together. I wish I didn't make that mess, sorry. Hopefully you guys can ignore that. We'll put the silicone sheet over it while we're finishing this up. Okay. Alrighty, all we have left to do now, I hope this is dry enough. I'm just gonna flap it for a second, see if we can get it to dry a little more. All right. Now we're just gonna use our stamp and seal. Put around all 4 edges. And this, oh no! I have ink on my fingers and I got ink on there. I have to be careful. I'm gonna put this on the inside here. And then I am gonna flip this down to rub it because I have ink on my fingers and everything I'm touching, I'm leaving my little fingerprints. So I don't want to do that to it. I got a little spot in there where I got ink on there, but hopefully we can fix that. All right, so what do you guys think? Isn't this gorgeous? I just love this card and how it turned out. And I think Brenda will really like it too. I hope she will. All right, I hope you guys will make something like this. And if you do, send me a link. I'd love to see a little video of it, or even just a picture. You don't have to video it like I do, but I'd love to see a picture of what you make. I think all of us have such different imaginations, and I'd love to see what yours looks like. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I will try and make another video soon. Hopefully this new software works. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me go back. There we go. Here I am. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this new software and if it's better or worse, if the quality's I'm trying to figure out what to do with it to make it work. So hopefully this looks good. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and happy stamping. We will see you next time. Bye.